On Headline News, online, or on iTunes, you found your way to this Thursday edition of CNN Student News. I'm Carl Azuz, and these are your headlines. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice calls on Pakistan to take responsibility for terrorists operating inside its borders. She made the comments during a visit to India yesterday, where she's hoping to ease tensions between the neighboring countries. India blames Pakistan for last week's deadly terror attacks, while Pakistan says it had no role in the violence. President-elect Barack Obama unveils another nominee for his cabinet. New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson is his pick for Secretary of Commerce. Of course, Richardson will have to be confirmed by the U.S. Senate. If he is, it won't be his first time in the presidential cabinet. Richardson served as Secretary of Energy and Ambassador to the United Nations under President Bill Clinton. And the United Auto Workers Union will be working with automakers to make some changes to contracts. Both groups are hoping this will help the industry get that multi-billion-dollar government bailout it's been asking for. The heads of 3 major car companies are back on Capitol Hill to address that very issue with Congress. Kate Baldwin gives us a preview.
It's almost like seeing a guy show up at the soup kitchen in high hat and tuxedo.
Mocked for taking private jets to ask for a taxpayer bailout. This time, they're driving. Ford CEO in an Escape hybrid and GM's top executive in a Malibu hybrid, making the nearly 9-hour trip from Detroit to Washington to ask for even more than the original $25 billion lifeline. Job one is salvaging a PR gaffe. Ford CEO is making the case through a new website and YouTube.
And we'll get through this and we'll come out the other end as a turbo machine.
Chrysler's vice president warning Maryland dock workers about the fallout if the big 3 fail.
The campaign that we're on is a real simple one. It's about saving jobs and preserving our way of life in America.
Congressional leaders are demanding accountability, proof the big 3 can survive, and an end to excessive executive compensation.
It's ridiculous to ask the taxpayers to fund the shortfall of companies that are paying millions of dollars to their executives while the companies are losing billions of dollars.
GM is asking for up to $12 billion immediately and maybe another $6 billion later. The company claims with restructuring it can become profitable again and repay the loan by 2012. Ford wants access to up to $9 billion. Ford says it may be financially strong enough to not need the cash, but wants it available. And like the other automakers, it would step up production of electric and fuel-efficient vehicles. Ford also would get rid of its 5 corporate jets. And all the CEOs are promising to work for $1 a year.
Ford says that pay cut will take effect if the company uses the bailout money. Now, Chrysler's proposal is asking for $7 billion from the federal government. All 3 automakers will face the music once again when they come back to Capitol Hill for hearings Thursday and Friday. Kate Baldwin, CNN, Capitol Hill.
Time for the shout out. Which of these universities has the highest tuition? Is it Duke, Columbia, Harvard, or Stanford? You've got 3 seconds. Go. According to U.S. News & World Report, Columbia University has the highest price tag of these schools. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
In fact, a year of tuition at Columbia rings up at more than $39,300. That's more than a lot of people make in a year. And that school isn't alone. According to a new report, college costs have been skyrocketing for years. From 1982 to 2007, tuition and fees have increased nearly 440% adjusted for inflation. In that same time, the median family income rose 147%. When it comes to college affordability, the report flunked 49 states and gave the other, California, a C. Well, if your grades could use a boost, or if you just want to keep them up, maybe you'd be encouraged if your tests came with an inspirational message. Maybe not. But in one California classroom, they do, and that is because the teacher is selling space for them and other advertisements on his exams. Steve Atkinson of affiliate KGTV in San Diego takes us to school.
Any questions if you would like
It was a tough math problem for a man who teaches advanced calculus.
After budget cuts, Tom Farber needed more money to pay for copies of all the tests he gives.
So I said, you know what, I'm going to do it in a more creative way.
How's this for creative? He sells ads on the tests. Mostly they're inspirational quotes paid for by parents. Now here's a typical ad, which is actually just a quote. It says, "Good luck, but remember, knowledge is more important than luck." It's all about adjusting to tough times.
And I would never have done this 5 years ago or 10 years ago. I wouldn't even thought of it because there was never a necessity.
His principal, Paul Robinson, thought it was a great idea from the start.
I kind of figured that there would be, some support. I didn't imagine that the support would be as overwhelming as it's gotten.
It has been overwhelming. Emails from all over the country. The front page of USA Today had Farber's story this morning. He's flattered, but he hopes it focuses attention on education.
I want the legislative process to make sure that kids are treated fairly, equitably at all public high schools.
I think it's a great idea, but I think it's sad that we have come to the point that we have to do that.
I think it's a great idea, too. I think it's kind of fun. Parents can wish their children well on the test if they want to.
Farber says reaction has been 99% positive. As for the critics who say he's commercializing schools,
if you really disagree with what I'm doing, then you need to get your wallet out.
By the way, the ads cost $10 for a quiz, $20 for a test, $30 for a final, and the final is already sold out.
A word to the wise. Congenital. Relating to a condition that exists at birth.
Well, Jessica Cox says a lot of people have doubted her because of a congenital disease. She hasn't let that hold her back. And now the 25-year-old is a certified pilot. But what's really impressive is how she handles the plane. Lorraine Rivera of affiliate KVOA in Arizona launches into the details of this exceptional feat.
From the runway to the sky, this flight is like most others. Flying the pattern is a breeze, the landing smooth. The only thing that's different, the pilot in command of this air coupe is a 25-year-old woman without arms.
A lot of people maybe have doubted me or don't believe that a girl without arms can, or a woman without arms could do much.
But she can. Jessica Cox, a certified pilot, does it all and alone, even her pre-flight inspection.
It's full.
She checks the oil with a screwdriver, her foot and head.
Yeah.
And fills out her own logbook.
Okay, today is the 2nd.
Really, the only tricky part.
Yeah, this was my first challenge in flight training, was how to buckle the seatbelt. So I figured out, well, you don't always have to buckle the seatbelt after you sit down.
Born with a congenital birth defect, she's accepted who she is. For 11 years, she used prosthetic arms, then decided she didn't need them. And 3 years ago, a pilot with Wright Flight, an aviation company, offered her the chance to fly.
Well, when she came in here, we knew she'd be able to do it just because of the drive that she has, absolutely.
Yeah, Parrish, he has this undying faith in me.
She's already logged close to 100 hours in the sky.
When you're behind the yoke and you're soloing the airplane for the first time and you look over and you don't see your instructor there and you're forced to accept that you're flying the airplane, you realize at that moment that you literally have your life in your own hands, or in my case, in my own feet.
Great story there. Well, premiering 1 week from today, Planet in Peril Battle Lines. This is a special documentary that examines the conflicts between growing populations and natural resources. We are putting together reports and free curriculum materials to go along with the program. They will be coming soon to CNNStudentNews.com. And before we go today, guess who's coming to town?
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Sure it is, Santa, but apparently not everyone wants to hear you singing about it. Some neighbors are seeing red over St. Nick's musical merriment. The owner says he's trying to keep holiday spirits up by keeping the volume down, and he hopes he won't have to shut Santa up for good, because that would make for one silent night. You guys have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow.